The Waffen SS began as a small unit of personal guards for the German leader Adolf Hitler, and by the end of World War II had transformed into the most dangerous and ferocious unit within the German army, the very backbone of German defense until the final moments of the conflict. What set its soldiers apart most strikingly was that they were men who knew no mercy. In today's episode, we explore the Waffen SS, the elite forces, and Hitler's men within the army. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and activate the bell icon to receive each episode the moment it's released. Let's begin. The simple sight of men in black uniforms on the battlefield was enough to instill terror. Their fearsome reputation had been earned over years of war, yet it was built gradually, as the SS evolved from a personal bodyguard unit for Hitler into the German army's most formidable military force. The origins of the SS trace back to the early days of Hitler's National Socialist German Workers' Party in the 1920s. At that time, Germany was still paying the heavy price for its defeat in World War I. The Weimar Republic, which governed Germany from the end of the First War until 1933, struggled to manage the country under the harsh conditions imposed by the peace treaties. Germany was burdened with enormous reparations, leading to mass unemployment, hyperinflation, and economic paralysis. The natural outcome of these hardships was the German population turning toward extremist political movements. Some joined socialist movements, which had been rising and spreading across Europe after the war, while others aligned with the extreme nationalist right-wing movement led by Hitler's party. With the stark contradictions between socialist and nationalist camps, violent clashes were common. In 1922, Hitler established the SA, the Storm Detachment or Assault Division, tasked with protecting party speakers, defending demonstrations, and acting as an instrument of terror against socialist groups. This paramilitary organization became famous for its brown uniforms, earning it the nickname the Brown Shirts. Ernst Röhm, the commander of the Brown Shirts, was a former major in the German army who had fought in World War I and suffered multiple injuries, one of which left a mark on his face, giving him a rough, intimidating appearance. Coupled with his large build, Röhm was perfectly suited to lead a force whose main role was to intimidate rival political movements. To protect Adolf Hitler, Röhm formed an elite guard from within the Brown Shirts to serve as the Führer's personal bodyguard, a decision he would come to regret profoundly. This unit was distinguished by the black caps worn by its members. Gradually, the guard separated from the Brown Shirts and became the Schutzstaffel, or SS, adopting fully black uniforms. In 1929, Heinrich Himmler, one of Hitler's most important and ruthless men, took command of the SS. Himmler was of small stature and weak personality, with poor eyesight, which had prevented him from serving in World War I. Yet, he retained his military ambitions until he found his opportunity in Hitler's inner circle, which entrusted him with leadership of the SS, then a relatively small force compared to Röhm's 60,000-strong Brown Shirts. Himmler strengthened the separation between the SS and the Brown Shirts, seeing the latter as a mere paramilitary gang, while he envisioned the SS as an elite force, loyal to the party's ideology. He expanded the SS by incorporating other party security branches and offices of racial affairs. In January 1933, Hitler became Chancellor of Germany, and the SS underwent a radical transformation. They were placed in charge of guarding the segregation and racial purification camps, forever tying their name to the crimes of ethnic cleansing. By 1936, the SS had taken control of the Gestapo, the terrifying secret police founded by Hermann Göring to unify the police apparatus in Prussia. Himmler now held in his hands all instruments of political policing, intelligence, and security across Germany. When Hitler requested an armed SS unit to guard his residences, Himmler created the Waffen SS, the Armed SS. Command fell to Joseph Sepp Dietrich, Hitler's driver and personal bodyguard. All members were volunteers, required to be responsible men over 23 years old, in perfect physical condition, at least 180 centimeters tall, and racially pure Aryans. This racial criterion ensured they could fully absorb the party ideology, believing themselves part of a superior race. The Waffen SS headquarters was at Lichterfelde military base in Berlin, one of Germany's elite officer schools. Here, volunteers trained under German armed forces officers, and Himmler worked to expand the Waffen SS as his personal power arm within Hitler's inner circle, and as an ideological extension of the party inside the military. Yet one obstacle remained: the brown shirts. Their leader, Ernst Röhm, believed Hitler should prioritize them in defending the Reich over the regular army. Hitler, however, saw them as thugs, tarnishing his image as a statesman. Himmler, viewing Röhm and his followers as rivals to his ambitions, presented Hitler with a fabricated dossier accusing Röhm of being a French agent plotting a coup. Hitler believed Himmler's claim. On June 30, 1934, he flew to Munich with Sepp Dietrich and a large Waffen SS contingent. By the end of the day, the brown shirt leadership was either arrested or executed, including Röhm. The purge continued until July 2nd, in an operation known as Operation Hummingbird, or more famously, the Night of the Long Knives. As a reward for the SS and its commander Heinrich Himmler, the SA, or Brown Shirt Organization, was dismantled and transformed into an SS unit. This newly formed bloc became known as SSVT, a special forces formation entirely separate from the other SS branches, while retaining the essential requirements of height, racial affiliation, physical fitness, and ideological loyalty to the party. The mere presence of such an armed military body, of this size and proximity to the center of power, greatly unsettled the German army. It suggested that Hitler was forming a rival military force. Hitler's objective was clear. In the event of war, the SSVT would integrate into the German armed forces as an independent military division. The army, however, rejected this idea, refusing to provide the SSVT with artillery and other heavy weapons necessary for a conventional division. Yet, they supplied the unit with training and transferred several experienced officers to enhance the identity and military effectiveness of Hitler's politicized elite. Paul Hauser, a highly experienced officer, became the general supervisor of the SS forces. Felix Steiner, director of army training, assumed the same position for the SS. Steiner, a veteran of special forces during the First World War, applied his expertise to transform the SS into a specialized offensive force that, during World War II, advanced at the front lines, supported by artillery from the army. The goal of Hauser and Steiner was to create soldiers devoid of fear or mercy. The course of the war would later confirm the complete success of this objective. Naturally, this approach produced men who held no regard for human life, neither their own nor that of others. In 1939, Hitler launched the invasion of Poland, marking the first combat deployment of the SSVT units. They entered the campaign as a regiment of mechanized infantry, with Hitler monitoring their daily progress on the operations map. Despite Germany's swift victory in Poland, the army judged the SSVT's combat efficiency as below standard, citing their lack of discipline and disregard for wounded and dead alike. Furthermore, they were notably aggressive toward civilians in occupied territories. Himmler defended his men, arguing that the SS forces would perform far better under independent command, free from army leaders who did not know them. He also requested an expansion of SS numbers. Hitler approved the increase, but insisted that their leadership remain under army oversight. the SSVT itself remained independent, while newly added forces were integrated into regular army units. A new force derived from the SS police was also incorporated, and collectively, these formations became known as the Waffen SS, simplifying their structure and identity. In May 1940, Hitler launched the campaign to invade France, which included operations through the Netherlands. SS paratroopers led the initial assault, simultaneously dropped by German aircraft to seize Dutch military airfields. Within 5 days, the Waffen SS completed their mission and linked up with follow-on airborne units. The SS did not participate in the main armored advance through the Ardennes forest, which aimed to surprise the French forces. However, as the German advance continued westward, SS units were summoned to support the 7th Panzer Division under Erwin Rommel, contributing to the repulsion of a British counterattack on May 21st. The German advance persisted despite Allied defenses, ultimately forcing the retreat of Allied forces northward to the Dunkirk pocket, from which Britain executed a remarkable evacuation. Celebrating his victory, Hitler delivered a speech at the Berlin Opera House on July 19th, offering special thanks to the Waffen SS. Following the French campaign, Himmler expanded the SS further, forming a new division from Danish youth known as the SS Viking Division. Many young right-wing volunteers from the Netherlands, Denmark, and Norway enthusiastically joined the SS ranks. In April 1941, SS units participated in the occupation of Yugoslavia and Greece. During the Yugoslav campaign, the exceptional courage of the SS became evident. Orders were given to reach Belgrade ahead of the regular army. Despite rain that turned the ground to mud, SS forces reached the Danube River first. Lacking intact bridges, a small group of 10 soldiers crossed in a boat and reached the German embassy in Belgrade. The embassy was surrounded by angry Yugoslav nationalists. Colonel Fritz Klingenberg, leader of the SS group, used the embassy telephone to threaten the mayor of Belgrade, warning that air raids on the city would follow if he did not surrender. Terrified, the mayor capitulated. Klingenberg was awarded the Knight's Medal for his bravery and continued to fight in SS ranks until days before Germany's surrender. When German forces reached Athens, Sepp Dietrich, general commander of the SS, received the Greek army's surrender document, marking an important achievement for Hitler's men and adding to the SS reputation as a bold and effective force. The Balkan campaign was merely a precursor to Hitler's massive planned campaign. On July 22, 1941, Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest invasion in history, targeting the Soviet Union. By this time, the SS units had expanded, each forming a full independent military division, 6 in total. All 6 Waffen SS divisions took part in Operation Barbarossa, and the effects of ideological indoctrination on the SS's conduct were immediately evident as they treated Soviet forces as subhuman. The SS soldiers perceived themselves as participants in a campaign to defend Western civilization, a belief that added further motivation for them to secure victory for Germany at any cost. Their violence intensified, their boldness doubled, and this earned them, to a significant extent, the respect of German army generals. With Germany's invasion of the Soviet Union framed as a fight against communism, a growing number of young men from Western European countries occupied by Germany joined the SS, forming the Foreign Legions. In fact, many of these volunteers proved even fiercer than the SS themselves. Among them was Leon Degrelle, the Belgian right-wing leader, who commanded a Belgian SS Legion on the Eastern Front, and was personally awarded the Knight's Medal by Hitler for his victories. The winter battles of 1941 to 1942 on the Eastern Front were among the fiercest of the war. SS soldiers demonstrated exceptional competence and resilience. During this period, a restructuring of the panzer divisions occurred, with certain SS units transformed into SS Panzer divisions. Heinrich Himmler insisted that these divisions receive the finest armament available, and that they be larger and stronger than the Army's own panzer divisions. One SS Panzer division gained legendary status after capturing the Soviet city of Kharkov, earning Sepp Dietrich a new medal and a reward of 1 million marks from Hitler. The Waffen SS had become the ideal solution for German commanders facing difficult battles, as they were certain that its soldiers would fight to the death last breath to achieve objectives, regardless of obstacles or losses. Surrender was not in their nature. Their habituation to aggression against civilians meant that capitulation would bring severe consequences for their crimes. This created extremely fierce combatants, willing to fight to the death. By July 1943, as Germany entered the decisive Battle of Kursk, the Waffen SS had expanded into a complete corps of 12 divisions, most of which participated in the battle, the largest tank engagement in history. After a week of brutal fighting and formidable Soviet resistance, Hitler was forced to halt the offensive. Following Kursk, the German army assumed a defensive posture for the remainder of the war, as the Soviet forces launched a massive campaign to liberate Western Russia. Throughout this defensive phase, the Waffen SS served as the backbone of German defense, playing a pivotal role in breaking encirclement attempts and launching counterattacks to slow the Soviet advance. In the spring of 1944, German forces in France, Belgium, and the Netherlands were entrenched behind the Atlantic Wall, a coastal defense system of fortified strongpoints protected by obstacles, barbed wire, minefields, and machine gun emplacements with infantry in reserve. Behind this line, 11 panzer divisions were deployed for mobile defense in anticipation of the Allied invasion. 4 of these divisions were SS units. When the Allies landed in Normandy on June 6, 1944, only 1 panzer division was near the coast. The Hitler Youth SS Panzer Division moved to respond to the invasion, but arrived a full day later. As a result of this delay, instead of launching a counterattack, the division engaged in defensive operations. For the remainder of the war, SS forces were at the forefront of efforts to delay both the Allied advance from the west and the Soviet advance from the east. In the final battle in Berlin, the Hitler Youth, composed largely of adolescents, defended the capital of the Third Reich and were the last to surrender. This concludes our episode on the Waffen SS, Hitler's most formidable soldiers during the Second World War.